Queen, we lost a great person in Muhammad Ali. When did y'all first meet?
My God, I must have been about 18, and I was out in Los Angeles doing a concert with my dad, preceding him singing when I was traveling with my dad. Went over to the exposition hall, and people were just walking, looking at different things, and all of a sudden, in the crowd of people in the exposition hall, you heard, "I am the greatest. I am the greatest." And people stopped and started, looking around, and I'm looking around, and Ali was just going through the exposition hall, shouting that, proclaiming he was the greatest, and he was. Of course, at that time, we didn't know what that was about or who he was. And you're saying, like, who is this guy? What is that about? But of course, today we know what it's about today. What it was about.
There was also the reality is the two of you were contemporaries. You were only born 2 months apart.
I saw that. I noted that 1942. I saw that. He was a Cap, and I'm Aries.
Well, the reason I'm saying that in terms of the both of you born in the same year, 2 months apart. So literally, as he was blowing up when it came to being the heavyweight boxing champion, it was sort of paralleling your rise in your career, your singing career.
Yes, we were coming along together. He was a young guy then, very young.
What was it about him that was so interesting and unique? And one of the things that we focused on was his just unapologetic blackness.
I think one of the main things was that what was so unique about him was he was unpredictable. You couldn't exactly just guess where he was. And he was very unpredictable. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of that?
Just about his unapologetic blackness.
Oh, yes. Right, exactly. Yes, he absolutely stood behind his convictions and his values, and he took a very strong stance, and he didn't waver. Did not waver.
He was somebody who...
Very strong example of fortitude and strength.
He was somebody who loved to have fun, somebody who loved to joke around.
Oh, absolutely. He was full of fun. He loved magic. He used to have all kinds of tricks back in the day that he would carry with him, and he would show you these different tricks, or he would try them on you. So he loved fun. He was full of fun. Beautiful man.
Now, one of the things that also jumps out, I was listening to some interviews, and he did take a stab at singing because he was on a Sam Cooke record.
I saw pictures of he and Sam. I never heard him sing anything, but I did see pictures on Facebook where he and Sam were in the studio doing some things. I would love to have heard that.
Absolutely.
But I'm an old fight fan, Roland. I came up watching the old Gillette fights with my dad, who used to watch them religiously on Wednesday nights, and I would go and get the ice cream and sit on the floor and watch the fights on TV with my dad. That was back in the day of Edward Charles and Emil Griffith and Jersey Joe Walcott and Johnny Bratton out of Chicago and Kid Gavilan with the bolo, so many of the old, great, legendary names. And, of course, I evolved right into Ali and all of the contemporary fighters. In fact, I was out in Vegas at one point going to Ali's fight over at Caesar's Palace, and they had set up the parking lot with the ring and all of that. And coming out of the hotel, my friend and I got a cab, and just as we were about to pull off, somebody said, "Hey, are you all going to the fights?" We said, "Yes." He said, "Can I ride with you?" And we said, "Sure, come on." And guess who it was? It was Kenny Norton. Kenny got in the car. We went on over to Caesar's Palace, And when we got there, my friend went in his pocket to pay the cab fare, and he said, "Oh, no, I'll pay for it." And I said, "Oh, no, we'll pay for it." He said, "I said I'll pay for it." I said, "All right, let him pay for it. Let him pay for it." This is Kenny Norton.
Let me ask you about this here. So here you are. You're operating in the 60s. April 4th, 1967, Dr. King gives his famous Beyond Vietnam speech at Riverside Church in New York, and then 3 weeks later, Ali refuses induction into the military. He was hated by lots of people, including many African Americans who felt he was unpatriotic. What was your sense at that time when you heard Ali take that stance that he was not going to go into the military and go to Vietnam?
Well, he certainly did take that stand, and he took it behind his religious values. And I believe that everybody stands behind their religious values, don't they?
One of the things that also jumps out... And
almost any faith I can think of, people stand behind their religious values. So that was what that was about for him.
It was also a crucial moment during that period because, I mean, here you are the daughter of a Christian preacher, and here you have a young man who was born and raised a Christian, but who became a Muslim. And what's interesting is that black folks were not, even though the Nation of Islam was controversial to many folks, African Americans were not so caught up in his faith. It was all about the essence of who he was and his blackness.
Yeah, I think that just overwhelmed everything else. His personality was so mesmerizing and charismatic. It was just all about who he was and what he was saying and what he was doing.
If there was one thing that you will miss most about the late, great Muhammad Ali, what is that?
I think just his person, his $1 million smile, and the great, great fights. I saw almost every one of them. I was ringside, pretty much. So just him as a person and his lovely personality. When he wasn't really giving it to you, he was quiet and just a beautiful man.
Last question for me: was it a particular song that he wanted you to sing? Did he try to make some kind of special request?
No. When I did his special, no. That was directed by Stan Layton, and it was Ali's first special. Yeah, Stan Layton, and that was Ali's first special for ABC, and I did that. Was one of the guests on there.
All right, then. Well, Queen, we certainly appreciate you sharing your thoughts about the life and legacy of Muhammad Ali.
I'm so glad that he came along in my time, Roland, and what was even as good as that, he was one of my favorites, and to find that I was one of his was so great.
All right, then. Well, we had the greatest in the ring, the greatest one on the singing stage. Both of you, 1942 babies.
we were boomers. I'm a boomer. I'm a real boomer.